Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Adam Vanko. My channel name's the 4K Shokunin. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make channel banners that look kind of like this and look kind of like this. They're kind of my style, and while I'm teaching you how to make these, you're going to be learning how to use tools and essential kind of key buttons and kind of things like that that you'll eventually need in the future for making things for yourself. So this video is basically just going to be altogether good to watch through the whole thing, so hopefully you do. So enough said, let's get right into it. Okay, so now that you've turned on your toaster, you're going to power up Photoshop. So basically, this is what you're going to see when you first open up Photoshop. I don't know if it'll be the same, if it'll be the older version of Photoshop, but most of the tools and most of the layout kind of stays the same. So even if you have an older version of Photoshop, you should be able to follow this tutorial. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is set up your project. So you're going to go to File, New. I already have a preset called Banner. Now the preset, you guys can just copy all of these things. These are my preferred presets for the best quality and the best resolution. So obviously the resolution of a banner is 2560 by 1440. So once you copy down all of these width, height, all of these kind of things, I always like to have mine transparent. So basically once you copy these all down, we're gonna just go ahead and name your document. So now you get your little template here. And now there's one thing that I would recommend using if you want to have some cool little features in your project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open recent, and I have this folder that I'm going to leave a link in the description, but it's basically this 50 pack layers, effects, and all these different features. Mostly the ones that I use are the logos. So I just have these logos here, and I'll just go ahead, grab something from here. You'll be able to just grab it, go put it into your project just like that. As you can see, it's right there, but since we have a transparent background, you can't really see it that well, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. So now that we are I also like to have a new project open, same dimensions, doesn't really matter what dimensions there are. I just like to have one open in case I want to edit a picture and kind of take something out, which is what we're going to be doing. Now that we have this set up, we're going to go ahead and place our first image, which is not going to be the background. It is going to be this right here, channel art template. You're going to place this, use the arrow keys to set it into the dimensions, so make sure there's no transparency at the top of the screens and the sides of the screens. And then once you have it aligned, press enter, and now you're going to have a resolution table. Now this resolution table is basically showing you the resolutions of how people are going to see your banner. If you want to have it seen on all of these different resolutions, you're going to want to fit it into this box right here, this gray area. If you want to have it going all the way out, you could, but it won't be visible properly for people viewing it through these types of devices, for example tablet and desktop. Now that we have that place, we're going to get right into it. So a quick thing you're going to want to do actually is where these rulers are. If you don't see these rulers, go up to view and check up rulers, and then you'll have your rulers up on your screen. But what you're going to want to do with these rulers is click and drag over top of the different resolution separations, just as a good guideline if you do want to follow those guidelines. So we're just going to fit the box here just like that. And another thing you're going to want to do is the center. So you're going to feel it snap into the center. Once it snaps in, just unclick. Same goes for this side. It just snaps into place just like that. And now you've got your guidelines all set up. So after you have all your guidelines set up, honestly, you could probably just delete it. So the next thing I'm going to place is my background image. I am going to use as this city skyline. Once you have your image in, you just shift the image using the arrow keys again. It's not really fitting that well, so I'm just going to go ahead, press shift and scale up the image and move it so that it fits the box like so. There we go. Right about there is good, so just go ahead and press enter. And once you have your background in the image, now you are going to start to see another layer pop up here. Now this is basically how you're going to track all of your different things, different layers, and all the different pieces you have in your banner. So that's going to start to get pretty messy, but it's a very useful tool to use. But the next thing that I'm going to do is create a RGB split effect on my background. So the way that you do this is you click on the image. You're going to do Control J to duplicate the layer. On both of these layers, you're going to rasterize them so that you can deal with the individual pixels. So rasterize the images. Then you're going to go up to Image, Adjust adjustments, black and white, okay. And you're going to do the same thing for the second image, just image, adjustments, black and white, like so. Just click OK. Then on the top image, you're going to go to blending options, and you're going to tick off the red channel. On the RGB color channels, you're just going to tick off the red channel and then click OK. And then use your arrow keys with the move tool selected. Just with the arrow keys, start moving the image to the left or the right, depending on which kind of RGB split you're trying to go for. The more greenish on the left, just depending on which way you like it. Move your cursor around, see what kind of fits. Now I don't like to have it like too crazy, like something like that, so I'm just going to keep it kind of simple, like so. I like something like that where the images are still kind of connected, but it gives it a good split. And once you have those two like that, you're going to select both of those and you're going to merge the layers into one layer. Now once you have that one layer in there, the way that I did this background is you get a rectangle, cover the whole image like so. It should appear on your top layer. But the way that you cut the piece out of the side of it, the way I did it at least, is you get the tool here. You're going to zoom in all the way to here, and you're going to click on corner. Doesn't have to be necessarily the corner, but just like that, you're going to go across to this corner. Then you're going to move all the way up to this corner, and you're just gonna circle the half of the screen that you want to delete, or just basically circle whatever you want to remove from the image. Once we have that selected, we're just gonna go ahead and delete that off of the image, and now you should have a nice split here so that it's got white and it's got your image right there. So the next thing that I want to do is add another rectangle in. This rectangle is going to be black. When we make the box, I'm gonna start it about here and finish it about here. Just to make sure it is in the middle, is we are going to go to Control A, image, layer, align layers to selection vertical centers, and layer align selections to horizontal centers, and that basically centers the layer that you had selected to the very center of the clip. Now that we have the rectangle in the middle, we are now going to add our text over top. What you could do is just press T on your keyboard, go relatively in the middle, type in whatever you want to type in. So mine's would be my channel names, 4K Shokunin. Obviously it's not going to show up because it is a black color, so we're just going to move it down here, go back to that, select all, and the way you get the editing options for your text is right here, this A with a line in it. It should say character when you hover your mouse over it. You just click that, change the color of your text to white, and then just drag it into the base like so. I think we want to make this a little bit bigger, so I think that should be good. Then we're going to go back to the select, Control A, layer, align layers to vertical, and align layers to horizontal. There we go. Now that's in the middle. I want this box to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to click on this layer, press Control T to scale it, and then zoom in. And what you're going to want to do is just scale it down a little bit from this side, scale it down a little bit from this side, and now you've got something that's starting to get a little bit more of a picture of what it's going to be. So now that we have that, we're going to actually make the text a little bit bigger. Make sure to apply the transformation always, just so that it looks really symmetrical. The human eye likes symmetry, so obviously why not? It'll look nicer. Unless you're going for an offset vibe, then you can honestly put it wherever you want. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to start to do the split effect in the actual box here. So what we're going to do to create this split effect is you're going to select the rectangle layer, get your cut tool, your selective cut tool, you're going to zoom in all the way here, make sure you get right where that piece connects with each other, and then you're going to go down here all the way down to where this piece connects each other, click it. Then you're going to go all the way down to the right where the box ends. You gotta really get it precisely. There we go, connected together, and now you will have this section of your box selected. First, before you delete it, rasterize the layer, then delete it, and it should only delete half of it. Now, also what you're gonna wanna do is delete that exact same rectangle before you delete it off of the screen completely. That rectangle needs to be the same. So go to the second rectangle underneath and simply click delete again, and it'll cut out a square, kind of like a cookie cutter kind of split box here. Now you'll have a kind of black box fade. Kind of looks cool. I like the way it looks. Just kind of goes into that. the way you change the color of the text after you're done splitting the box is make sure the text layer, once you're happy with the way it looks, you rasterize the text. And then to get this piece right here split perfectly in half, you're gonna have to do some more precision cutting. It's honestly easier if you zoom out and get really precisely on where that line connects and get exactly where the lettering is. Just connect it up together, and then you should be able to just paint that individual section. Now I'm gonna get the color to the rest of it. Make sure you have the black paint selected, and then just you can go ahead and click that, and it should fill in that part of the text. Now you can basically just go in and do that with every other letter. So magic wand, click on the letter, paint bucket, fill. There you go. If you press shift and you have the magic wand out, it'll do add, so then you should be able to just grab the paint bucket tool and easily just go through them like that. Easy. Okay, now that you have those letters in black, it's starting to come together a little bit more, looking like what we had before and what I showed you in the examples. And the last finishing touches that you're going to want to add would be the Instagram logo, which I can just go over here. Whoever made this is a legend. So basically just go in, grab the Instagram logo from here, like so. Make sure you have the layer selected, grab it, drop it into your project file. And it should be right there. Obviously the color is a little bit too bright, so you're going to want to change the color of it. So no way I have to do magic wand. I do have to do magic wand. Okay, so select it all. There you go. Where's paint bucket, paint, paint, and paint. There you go. Now you should have a black Instagram logo. You're going to put it wherever you want on the screen. I kind of like mine somewhere around here. I'm just gonna press Ctrl T to scale it down a little bit. Now I kind of like the size of that, so I'm just gonna go ahead and press enter to get that official. And then you can just put another text layer, add your Instagram plug, which would be, and drag it into where you want it to be. Look at that, good stuff. And actually, yeah, I like it right there. So now you've got your Instagram in there. And if you have any other little pieces that you want to add to it, you can just go over to your blank layer, place, for example, what I added into my logo was, for example, a Snapchat, whatever, we'll place that in. Now this is obviously already transparent, so you could probably just go ahead and drag that. Oh, put it in the file first by pressing enter. Just go ahead, boom, it's in. It's already transparent, so if you download a transparent image off the internet, it's always better than making an image transparent on your own. Enter that size, drag it over to your Instagram logo. Maybe you want to shrink it down a little bit more till the size that you want. There you go. Now you've got an Instagram logo. There we go. Copy, Control J. Now we have two of these layers. Big boy copy. We're just gonna, ooh, there we go. Obviously you could just put in your text that you had before, but make sure you have these same dimensions. Always have same dimensions for your plugs, because it will look very strange if you have different dimensions for different text. So make sure you have same image dimensions, and add any more plugs that you need if you have any more plugs. So then once you have done that, you're gonna zoom out, and it's always good to just take a look at your image. Make sure there's nothing else that you want to add with it at this stage. Obviously you can always add it later, but just make sure you're happy with it. There's nothing to change. And then the last thing that I was going to do with this layer, and I'm going to place this image, is an example of what you're going to have to do to make your image transparent. It's a lot easier if you download an image that has a all white background, because you could just use the magic wand tool. Make sure you have a fairly high tolerance so it picks up all the white and gets a nice clean edge around your black circle or whatever you're using. So then just go ahead, click around the image, use shift to add all the different parts, add them all, and then just go ahead, make your image rasterized and delete. There you go. That's all gone in one click of a button, just like that. Now you can go ahead and drag that right onto your project, and it's going to be the original size that you originally downloaded it in. So you're going to just click Control T, scale it down to your image size that you want. Maybe if we like it in the middle, put it in the middle. Now you see this is where you run into the problem of overlapping layers. So you can go ahead, put that underneath all the layers that you want it to be underneath. There you go. And it's just like that, easy as cake. I really like the way that looks, actually. So Now, instead of moving the circle with the rings, I'm actually gonna move all of this. The Snapchat logo, the Instagram, everything. I'm just gonna move to the right until I get a place where I like it. For example, maybe right here by the circle, just like that. Perfect. And same with the Snapchat. I'm gonna put it a little bit staggered so it kind of looks like it's molding around the circle. It just makes it look a little bit nicer, a little bit more interesting to look at. So yeah, that's that. And if there's anything else you want to add, you can go ahead and add, but I'd say this is just about done with the way that I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and export it now. So the way you export an image is you file, save for web. There you go. Make sure you have it on maximum bitrate and no blur, anything. You just want maximum JPEG. Make sure your resolution size is the same as your project size so that it doesn't distort your image. And once you have all of that, go ahead and click save. Save it to wherever you want to save it, and it should be in your image.